Hey everybody, it's Charlene. Today we're going to be doing an older technique, but it's going to work so perfectly and I'm sure you guys are going to love it. We're going to start out here with the winter watercolor stamps and dies, and we're also going to bring in the pine and berry centerpiece stamps and dies. You'll see those a little bit later here. So I've got the large floral from the winter watercolor stamps, and I'm going to double stamp these with some dye ink just because I want to get some real good coverage, because these are more of a silhouette style of stamp, and that's what you're going to want for this oldie but goodie technique. Is you're going to want a silhouette style stamp because it's going to give you the best result. You want all of that solid space. So coming in here again, doing the second coating of ink there. Now this would look fabulous in red, and you're going to see I'm going to do a really dark red here in a minute, but I wanted to do some pink, kind of non-traditional holiday. All right, I've got a piece of acetate. That's actually the cover from my insert inside of my MISTI, the Waffle Flower Sticky Matte insert. I hung on to the piece of acetate that comes with it, but you could use any piece of acetate. And now I've taken that detailed stamp from the pine and berry centerpiece stamps, and it has some bells and some holly and a bow and just lots of different holiday items in it. And I'm doing stamp kissing using some of Honeybee Stamp's silver metallic ink. This looks so good in real life. I wish the camera picked up just how gorgeous it looks. The reason I'm using this piece of acetate is you can see I can take it in and out of my MISTI really easily, which means I can get multiple stampings in the exact same spot. You just want to make sure your acetate is lined right back up in the corner, and be careful when you pick up your lid of your MISTI because you don't want it to go tumbling down and mark things where it's not supposed to. But you could do this 2, 3, 4 times, whatever you need to, in order to get the coverage, the color, how dark you want it, that kind of thing. So I stamped the bottom one, and now I'm going to do the exact same thing with the top one. I just took the stamp right off of the acetate, moved it over the top of the other stamp so I could see where I want the image to be, and now I'm bringing my lid back over, picking up that silver ink, taking the acetate out, and then pressing it down to get it to transfer right on top of that floral piece. So you want to have two kind of extremes. You want to have a solid stamp that you're doing your initial stamping with, and then you want something that's more detailed. You could have dots or swirls or lines, whatever you want to have. A lot of times people will use large background stamps that have a lot of repeating small patterns on them, but I wanted to show you guys that you can use your stamps. So I'm using this beautiful Christmas stamp here that's got all of the Christmas iconography and feeling to it, but it's not distracting because it is the thin lines rather than some type of big thick piece. And it's one of those things where if you're looking at it, you will pick up, oh, hey, there's a bell, there's, a piece of holly right there. But it kind of takes a second look in order to notice all of that tiny little detail. Otherwise, it looks kind of abstract when you're just looking at it at first glance. So I'm coming in here now with that deep dark red I was talking about. This is going to dry back some, so it's not going to be quite that dark. But I wanted to show you the difference between using the metallic on a light color versus a dark color. I do think it shows up a little bit better on the dark color, but I was really happy with the way both of these turned out. So again, doing the multiple stampings, I've got my acetate there, and it comes out gorgeous. I did want to mention, if you're not super familiar with stamping with really dark colors like this red, just keep in mind that these kind of colors do tend to stain your stamps, but it doesn't impact your ability at all to use them. So we've got our gorgeous pieces done there. We're going to cut them out with the coordinating dies. And now here I have the Holiday Wishes paper pack. These designs are just phenomenal. I was speechless actually when I was looking through there, because this is what I think of when I think holiday. All of the designs in this pack are just beautiful. So I wanted to use that nice soft gray plaid for my background because I thought it tied in really well with the metallic. So you'll see that here in a moment. But before I do that, I decided to take a few more stamps from the Pine and Berry Centerpiece stamps, and I'm going to stamp them out. So if you go back and you look again at that Pine and Berry Centerpiece stamp set, there's a lantern and candles and all of these different pieces of foliage that are perfect for a holiday centerpiece. Now, these work really well in combination with the winter watercolor stamps. So these two sets are very interchangeable and go together really well. So you can see I stamped out those pieces of foliage from that Pine and Berry Centerpiece set, and I'm going to do two sets of them. So you've got kind of the two little pine pieces, and then there's a third piece that has kind of a little leaf piece as well as some berries. So this looks gorgeous in the silver. You don't have to do anything to it other than keeping it silver. I thought that would look really nice because it's going to pick up those lines where we did the stamp kissing. But certainly this would look gorgeous colored in. I mean, there's so many different ways to use these two sets. Okay, so I'm also taking my sentiment from that same set. It's a very beautiful, scripty Merry Christmas, really thin lines. It's gorgeous. So there's the coordinating dies. I've cut everything out. I did go ahead and cut 2 extra layers of the Merry Christmas so that I could glue them together and give them a little bit of dimension. So oftentimes I will use press and seal when I'm making an arrangement like this. I'll put together everything how I like it, and then I use a sheet of press and seal over the top, push it down and pick it up. So that way I can add glue on each piece and glue it down, pull the press and seal back up, and it works really, really well. But I wanted to show you an alternative here. Do you see what I just did there? I added glue to the back of my Merry Christmas where I knew the next layer was, and then I'm holding everything with my tweezers, and I picked up that first layer of the floral, and now I'm going to pick up the second layer of the floral. I just got to make sure each time that I have everything kind of lined back up so that it works on the card. And now again, I'm going to add some more glue where I know it's going to hit the top layer of the dark red floral. So it's going to be right on that side of the pink floral. So that's where I added my glue. So this makes it really easy to arrange something and then go through and glue all the pieces together without having to try and remember where things were or try and recreate something from a picture. This is actually a pretty quick and simple way to do it. So you can see I've got the top layer now of the red floral, and I say these are layers. They're not really intended as layers, I don't believe. Maybe they are, but you can certainly layer them up. And I thought it looked really nice with the small floral on top of the larger floral. But you could also do them standalone. You could do multiples of the small. You guys get the picture. But here I'm coming in now again, and I'm using my sentiment kind of as a frame of reference to make sure that I keep going back down straight onto the card front as I'm picking up the pieces. So now I've got the second layer of that large dark red floral, and you can see how easy this is. Things are just picking right up. You do want to use a glue that's a little tacky, so I wouldn't recommend using a glue that's really runny to do this technique. The honeybee glue is great for this. It's kind of like an in-between glue. It's got some grip to it, but it's still got enough liquidiness. I don't know if that's a word, but it still has enough that you can wiggle things around. So something along those lines would work really well. And now you can see I put some glue all along the back of those florals so I could pick up all the rest of those little foliage pieces I had back there. Now I've got one big piece and I can go in anywhere where maybe there needs to be a little bit of reinforcement, and I can just add a little bit more glue here and there. So hopefully this technique will be helpful for some of you. I know some people have tried the press and seal technique and they don't like it at all. This doesn't require press and seal, and it is pretty easy to do. You just have to take your time, and you definitely want to use some reverse tweezers because otherwise your fingers get in the way. Anyway, mind you, my fingers get in the way all the time. But here I've got my glue, and I'm going to go ahead and glue that beautiful plaid piece. I'm gluing it to a kind of darkish warm gray piece of cardstock that I have, and it's going to give that nice little border of that darker gray, and that's going to pick up the darker lines that are in the plaid. So I'm kind of tying everything together here with that gray / metallic. It's all going to be throughout each element of the card. Now I can glue this whole piece onto my A2 sized card base. So it's 4 1/4 inches by 5.5 inches. And I have a side fold card base. You could do this with top fold too. I tend to do a side folding card base just because I find that they stand up better, even though I really like the look of top folding card bases. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments which one you prefer. I'm just curious. So I've got that glued on there now. It would have looked nice popped up as well, but instead I decided to go ahead and add some foam tape all along the back of the entire piece that we glued together. So that's going to be popping up, and I still wanted this to be able to be mailed. So I'm using a low loft foam tape, so it doesn't have a ton of thickness to it, but it's going to give it a little bit of that nice dimension that just kind of makes things pop. So I'm placing that there on the front of the card. Look at all of that gorgeous goodness, you guys. Oh, it looks so pretty. I'm going to take a scrap there of that gray plaid paper, and I'm going to put it on the inside of my card. This is a great way to use some of your scraps. And it just gives the whole card kind of an overall feeling, right? When you see the outside with that beautiful plaid pattern, and then you open it up on the inside and it has the plaid pattern there as well, it just makes it look really cohesive. So I've got some of those gorgeous holiday wishes gem stickers. These coordinate perfectly with the paper pack, and I've put about 6 of them there on the card. I used the pink ones, and then I did decide to come in and add just one little tip of one of the pieces of foliage over there. Who knows if that was really necessary, but I felt like I wanted to have it on there. So I came in with it, and I just put a little piece of foam tape on the back of it so I could tuck it back behind the dark red floral. So that finishes off our card. I hope you guys picked up some tips and tricks today. Please be sure to like and subscribe, as well as hit the notification bell, so that way you'll get notified about future videos here on the Honeybee Stamps YouTube channel. I hope you all have a wonderful day.